na hata siwezi afford kupanda taxi. Kwa banki sina kakitu, siwezi afford hata shati. Maji nanywa ya kanjo yako ya chupa za mapambo. Nalipia mtoto wako elimu ya bure ya juu. Unanipa ya bure lakini ya utu. Oh no. So nitapata wapi majibu ya maswali? Mahindi lienda wapi? Pia shilingi ya shule za msingi. Paula mtume, mbona jela usimtume? Lazima abuniwe tume.
What are you, number one or what?
Lazima abuniwe tume. Mapenzi ndizo hali mabasa tulificha kwa kabati. Kazi kwa vijana, pesa kwa wazee. Tulimangamanga mpaka za maded I say. Lazima abuniwe tume. Lazima abuniwe tume. Oh. Sheria. Oh. Sheria. Sheria. Fuata. Sheria. Sheria. Oh, oh. Sheria. Yeah, yeah. Fuata. Sheria. 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 Oh, oh. Fuata. Sheria. Sheria. Pia wewe mwananchi, tabia zako ziko chini. Unapenda kulipa hongo na kutumia njia za uongo. Una mipango na hata watoto wa kando. Haujui hata majina yao. Kura yako uliuza maini figo, ukakulia hadi dini. Kisha wasema tukuthamini, na wewe hapo hauaminiki. Na wewe hapo haupangiki.
Wapi kidero when you need to slap somebody? Complain ufisadi kwani ulidhani t-shirt 50 bob leso siku ya campaign ilikuwa free? Ni 5 year loan investment utalipa kingia parliament. We are one, amani we are one. Na utumishi kwa wote, utu missing CCTV we were watching. Racial insecurity na job opportunity ni kama mti ya kibiriti. Side moja heavy. Usiniambie Kenya kuna umaskini, kwani hizi fat fingers zinaibia nane? Maskando ina threaten our survival. Media define leadership, na sura ukiaka front page na improve readership. Ambia wase wa Twitter wa hashtag hii ama hash reality doesn't make a good TT. Commission of inquiry wanakula commission bila kutupa ukweli. Ni kubaya mpaka kukiwa kuzuri unashindwa nini mbaya. Machozi ya perpetrator ineza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. After all is said and done, all will be said, nothing will be done. You're not my tribe, but you're my blood type. Lakini doesn't have to take tragedy to know that.
Sheria.
And a top of the top afternoon to you. This is Sheria Dive with me, Samuel Njoroge. I'm your host for this show. And my God, am I excited about today's topic. But also, I mean, you know, the funny things about the weather we've been having is it doesn't rain during the day. It only rains at night. That's balance. You know, that's the type of balance you're looking for in life. So I'm just looking at the window and it looks like it might rain, but I also see some blue. So I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. This is Saturday. And remember, what we do every Saturday between 1 and 3 p.m. is talk about the law. We take a deep dive. We call it Sheria Dive. This is that show where, you know, if you ever find yourself in a place where people are discussing serious things, you start issuing points there. Guys are wondering what's happening. Kumbe, you've just had an entire afternoon of law school. So I'm with you until 3 p.m. And today we're talking about crimes of passion. What is a crime of passion? How is it that people start a relationship in love and then the relationship ends at Community Maximum Prison on Nairobi? It's called Langata Women's Prison. What happens in between? And how does the law get into a messed up situation? How can a breakup lead to a jail up? Let me try. A breakup leads to a lockup. Yeah, that's the one. How can a breakup lead to a lockup? Of course, I'm in studio with my producer, Bena. Shout out to Bena. And it's going to be giving us all the good music today. But I can't start talking about breakups if I don't play the next song, because this is a song that's setting the tone for our show today. So here we go with Nenda Lote by Sauti Sol.
Umetuma wazazi wako waje wanieleze. Umetuma wazazi wako waje wanieleze. Unitaki tena na mashoga zako waje waniambie. Na mashoga zako waje waniambie. Ndoa tumeivunja. Siamini kuna time singeishi bila wewe. Mapenzi ya kukata na shoka yashamwagika hayazoleki haya basi nenda lote mama. Nenda lote mama. Penzi unaenda nilikuenzi kinoma noma yashamwagika hayazoleki haya nenda lote mama. Ukatuma loya wako ate anisome. Ukatuma loya wako ate anisome. Kuwa watoto ulonizalia kuwa watoto ulonizalia sitawaona tena. Siamini kuna time tuliapa hadharani kanisani kwa chanda na pete jasha mwagika hayazoleki hayao nenda lote mama. Nenda lote mama. Penzi unaenda nilikuenzi kinoma noma yashamwagika hayazoleki hayao nenda lote mama. Ukatuma pasta wako aje anikeme, ukatuma pasta wako aje anikeme mama, na madeni zangu kazitangaza na madeni zangu kazitangaza mitandaoni shemeji zangu ndugu zako tukionana, wambie sisi bado rafiki wasinipite barabarani mama umeenda lote mama, umeenda lote mama penzi unae penzi yashamwagika yazolekila yao basi nenda lote mama, nenda lote mama penzi unae penzi kinoma noma yashamwagika yazolekila yao nenda lote mama, mama nenda lote mama.
And of course, that's Nairobi's official breakup anthem, Nenda Lote. And the question you're asking today is, how is it that people can actually start a relationship, being happy, sharing everything? You promise each other the world, as in you are promising her everything. Where are we going to live? Yeah? Then how do those relationships end up as cases that go to court and people come from where they are all the way to Kamiti or to Langata Women's Prison? Now, today we look at crimes of passion. And the question I'm asking, if you're listening to this, and of course we always look forward to your feedback, and just share with us where you're listening from on the socials at Power Radio. Now, the question is this: what is the worst breakup you've ever been in? Or what's the worst breakup you've ever heard of? Because unbeknownst to many people, some of the things you're doing during a breakup, or saile mmekosana, unavunja sheria, by the way. And you know this show is all about kufuata sheria. But let's start with definitions. What's a crime of passion? Okay? Now, a crime of passion is a violent crime. It has to be violent, number one, okay? And in this type of crime, the perpetrator, okay, the person who actually commits the crime, they commit it against someone because of a sudden, strong impulse, such as anger or jealousy, rather than it being a premeditated crime. And this happens a lot where someone dies. So the reason you've died is because there was a sudden, strong impulse. There was great emotion that was felt by the perpetrator, okay? And we're going to be looking at some of those cases. Did you know, for instance, that in Kenya, you can actually get away with killing someone who sleeps with your wife? Yeah. This is not an invitation for people to go and murder people out there. But we're going to be talking about this as we deal with crimes of passion. Now, I have come across some interesting breakups. I think there was that famous case where there was I remember it was a Mercedes E250 that had been graffitied all over. Cheater! It had been written all over the car. This guy's a cheater. And of course, there are always these funny cases we hear. I think there's this guy I saw who said that after he broke up with his girlfriend at the time, she, of course, had a spare key to his house. So she went in, and then all his suits, he cut them off at the knee. Imagine unaenda kuvaa suti, unapata umevaa suti kinyasa manze. Breakups, man. Breakups. So this week, interesting things have happened. Now, if some of you can remember, a few years ago, there was a story that actually just caught the attention of the entire country, in which a lady was actually found in a coffee plantation having been burnt with acid and been raped. Okay? Now, this week, the court has issued a judgment in that matter where the people who committed the offense have been found guilty. Just to give a little bit of background in that, Njambi, who is the deceased person, is the victim of this crime. A crime was committed on the 24th of January 2018. Njambi was married to an MCA for those of us who are listening, don't know what an MCA is. This is a member of the county assembly, right? This is an elected representative. Now, her husband, at the time, a gentleman by the name Samuel Njoroge, they had issues, and apparently, based on the court records and the testimony that was shared in court, the husband, the MCA guy, he was one of those jealous types, So they got into a tiff, and then they sort of had a breakup or a separation of sorts. So on the 24th of January, the MCA went to his ex-wife's house, convinced her to join him, went into the car, and unknown to her, she had no idea that there was two other people. There were two other people, one being Joyce Njambi Mongai and Wilson Mwangi Munywa. So in court, there were three people who were brought to face charges of murder, the death of Lucy Njambi Nyagiko. So what happened to Lucy? Lucy Njambi was taken to a coffee plantation in Thika, where she was raped, and after she was raped, they poured sulfuric acid all over her to burn her, and they left her for dead. Now, luckily for her, someone happened to be passing by and heard her cries and was able to rush her to hospital. Unfortunately, upon being rushed to hospital, she died. I think it was within 24 hours. She was already died, and she was buried in Gatundu South constituency. Now, when that matter went to court, of course, it caused a huge uproar. This is about 5 years ago. In the judgment in court, the judge cited that the MCA, who was the husband of the deceased person, had a history of aggression and assault cases, and it was clear that there was a case of a marital discord. Now, Joyce is actually accused of having purchased the sulfuric acid. Remember, Joyce was accused together with the Lucy's ex-husband. And Joyce is the one who went and purchased the sulfuric acid that was used to burn Lucy after she had been raped. And of course, the other gentleman, Munywa, he was present at the crime scene when this was happening. Is this a crime of passion? That's the question we're asking today. And we're going to be looking at more cases. And if we have time, we'll also look at that very famous case of Ruth Kamande. Ruth Kamande, I think, was Miss Langata Women's. And I remember just online checking people saying, bana, huyu achiliwe bwana. Huwezi kwa msupa hivyo na umefungwa jela. We have to let her go. Okay? That was the argument. But the law is the law. And remember, when it comes to the law, there is no man, there is no woman, nothing. We are all equal in the eyes of the law. So we're going to be differentiating crimes of passion from actual crimes. Well, they're all crimes, but where the passion factor does not really matter and the case is purely looked at as a murder case. So, Wasawa, you're with me here until 3 p.m. And of course, it's always nice to have you here. I know our show is internet-based, so the people who might probably not be aware of this. So if you're listening to this and you feel like someone needs to be listening to this, why don't you just share that link with them and we'll be here together. Remember, this is Sheria Dive and I'm your host, James Njoroge. Let's get some music. Let's go.
Hawataweza kukupenda. Hawataweza.
Fresh is on the beat.
Mbona do you have to be this way? Unajitoa from all the promises we made. You wanna blow up all the loving that we gave. Listening to he said and the she said. Uongo za mjini zimenoka. Niamini na kupenda ni wewe tu. Wakusema watasema usiku watalala. Hawataweza kukupenda vile ninavyokupenda. Amini hata dunia itashindwa na cha kusema. Na wakisema ni mapema kupenda tunavyopendana. Tutaishi kama Romeo na Julia. achana nao. No, usiwasikize hao. No,
the city's full of haters, full of players. Wakutupiga sana, all they wanna break us. Usiwasikize hao. Oh baby, achana nao. Cause when we say ni forever, ni vow tunaweka. Mimi na wewe tu. Let us go down in history. Niamini na kupenda ni wewe tu. Wakusema watasema, usiku watalala. Hawataweza kukupenda vile ninavyokupenda. Amini hata dunia itashindwa na cha kusema. Na wakisema ni mapema kupenda tunavyopendana. Tutaishi kama Romeo na Julia kwa sinema. Baby, achana na usiwasikize hao. Baby, achana nao. Usiwasikize hao.
baby, achana nao. City boy wanna break your heart. City girl, they just wanna have fun. Love you then leave you. Wakuache na maswali bila jibu. City boy wanna break your heart. City girl, they just wanna have fun. Love you then leave you. Wakuache na maswali bila jibu.
Yeah.
City boy wanna break your heart. City girl just wanna have fun. Love you then leave you. Wakuache na maswali bila jibu. City boy wanna break your heart. City girl just wanna have fun. Love you then leave you. Wakuache na maswali bila jibu.
Power Radio. Tune in and power up.
Sina patience anymore. Wemaliza acha story. I won't give you my time like before. Kwa nini hukusema hata sorry? Ulienda ulidhani hutapitia, so kwa nini unaniletea ngori? Achia mapenzi wenye wanaelewa, and let me focus on my glory. Mwanzo sikuelewi, alafu mi sikujui. Mwanzo mi sikupendi na tena mi sikutambui. Sitaki, siendi, sifanyi, sisikii. Sitaki, siendi, sifanyi, sisikii. Sitaki, siendi, sifanyi, sisikii. Sitaki, siendi, sifanyi, sisikii. Sitaki mimi drama, sitaki kuziona macho zako zikinitazama. Salimia mama, alafu umwambie mtoto wake ni hasara. Wanaita karma, imekuwaje sasa ni wewe umeshikilia kamba, na dunia imekufunza, na ukirudi hapa tena utapata nimehama. Mwanzo sikuelewi,
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Karibu sana, if you're just joining us, this is Sheria Dive on Power Radio, and I'm your host, James Njoroge. Now, the funny thing, or I don't know that it's a funny thing, but a nice thing about this station is that we only play Kenyan music, so probably you're going to hear music you've not heard anywhere before. That was Sitaki by Polaris Pauline. And Polaris was actually discovered on Twitter because I think, was it KB? I can't remember which producer it was, but there was a South African producer who posted a tune that he had actually been working on in studio, and Polaris sent a sample, and it's so amazing to actually hear her. And I hope wherever you are out there that the opportunities find you. Kuna opportunity kona jina yako manze ikupate wewe na isiende kwa jirani, si ndio? And of course before that we had Hawataweza by Wanavokali. Today we're just dealing with breakups, man, and I hope that as we talk about breakups, of course we'll be talking about other things because passion can't just be about lovers, right? Crimes of passion are not necessarily about lovers, but the idea is just that there is a high emotion involved when the crime is actually being committed. Now, in this show, at Chapangi Stories Ajaba, we're not here to just talk about things in generalities. We actually deal with real cases, real stories, things that courts have actually decided. Now, earlier I was talking about some of the funny things that people do. And I'm going to be talking about why some of the things you do count as offenses under the law. And something that you do, you know, we often like to say that in unakumbuka compositions tulikuwa tunasema there used to be within two thrushes of a duck's tail. Have you ever said a duck thrashing their tail? I think anyway. So in the twinkling of an eye, let's use that. Twinkling of an eye, your life can actually change, right? Unaweza pata tu maisha yako imebadilika completely. Umetoka Langata to Langata Women's Prison. Pop, instant. Crimes of passion. Now, there are people who will, during a breakup, they'll probably start fighting and throwing things, right? Under the Penal Code of Kenya, which basically is the act that defines what crimes are in Kenya and also gives the punishment for the crimes, we have a crime known as common assault. This is under Section 250 of the Penal Code. As I've told you, this is law school, man. As soon as you're done here, unatoka na mini degree, okay? Now, common assault is when a person unlawfully assaults another and they are guilty of a misdemeanor, all right? If the assault is not committed in circumstances for which a greater punishment is provided, then you are liable to imprisonment for 1 year. So common assault, you've broken up, then you decided to start slapping each other there. Just know you're looking at 1 year in prison. Should that person decide to sue you, or should that person decide to go to the police and put in a complaint, right? Now, there's also the type of assault that causes bodily harm, actual bodily harm, that the person can say, because of how my boyfriend or my girlfriend hit me, or my husband or wife hit me, they've actually caused an injury to me, okay? If you do that, then you are liable to imprisonment for 5 years. Now, the other funny people who, during the breakup, you know, people do funny things, right? And there have been cases of people even stripping someone. Like you want to just take away this person's dignity. Or it can even be crazy. Someone is saying, I bought this dress. Your dress unatoa bwana. Under Section 251A of the Penal Code, a person who intentionally insults the modesty of any other person by forcibly stripping them commits an offense and is liable upon conviction to imprisonment for a term not less than 10 years. Kutoa mtu nguo, you guys, forcibly, okay? And the idea there is to insult their modesty. Then you get 10 years in prison. So, in the heat of passion, right? In the heat of your anger and everything, you have to be very, very careful about the things you do. Of course, some people even engage in kidnapping. Can you believe it? You go and kidnap someone. Where uniachi ba? Uniachi. Ni mimi na wewe hadi mwisho. That is an offense under Section 254 of the Penal Code of Kenya. Any person, this is what it says, any person who conveys any person beyond the limits of Kenya without the consent of that person or of some person legally authorized to consent on behalf of that person is said to kidnap that person from Kenya. So this now deals with those cases where you've had someone kidnaps you and takes you out of the country. That is an offense. It's a criminal offense. And if you kidnap a person from Kenya, you're guilty of a felony and you're liable to imprisonment for 7 years. Now, what happens to those cases where you've broken up with someone and then they decide to come to your house and break things and or steal things, they've taken something? Now, if you take something from someone's house, generally we're dealing with a question of theft, okay? A person who steals anything capable of being stolen is guilty of theft. And if you're found guilty, you can be imprisoned for up to 3 years. Now, what happens to the people who come to your house and they break in, okay? This I hear happens a lot with ladies. Ladies, if you're listening to this, I'd just like to understand, like, what gets into your mind when you decide you're going to crash someone's TV, utavunja kila kitu kwa hiyo nyumba? Like, what's the thinking going on there? And I've seen this a lot. At least every month there's someone who'll just post on X, aka Twitter, about how someone came and broke their things. That is a criminal offense, all right? And you can actually earn up to between 7 to 10 years for doing that. Even entering a house to commit a felony, there is a punishment for that. 7 years in jail. So today we're talking about passion, crimes of passion. A crime has been committed because the person has found themselves in a space where their emotions have taken over, all right? And we're going to be looking at different cases. Remember, here we try to be practical. The law is practical. The law understands where you and I live. The law knows the type of people we are dealing with. The law knows the type of situations that we are handling on a day-to-day basis. And it's built around that. So we're going to be looking at even those simple cases of you are probably out having drinks and someone wants to pick a fight with you. If you react in that moment, what happens? You're going to be looking at real life cases of such things happening. And remember, at the back of our minds, we are dealing with the court decision where a former MCA for Riruta, all right, has been found guilty of the murder of his ex-wife and has been sentenced to 30 years in prison. Of course, you will recall that the Court of Appeal has now said that the life sentence in Kenya is 30 years. I saw some people saying, oh, it's too lenient. But in essence, what has happened is that he's been issued with a life sentence based on that Court of Appeal decision. So let's get some music. And then when we come back, we talk about brawls at the bar. Munasumbuana hapo mkikata maji and then watu wanapigana wanaumizana. What happens? There's a real life case. You know, the best thing about life is when it comes to stupid decisions, let other people make them for you and then you be the person to learn from the mistakes of others. So let's get the music. Let's go.
Still can't believe this the life I chose. See the hands waving at my sold out shows. A roof over my head, yeah. Love in my bed, yeah. So much to live for. I remember when I used to wish for tomorrow. Now I live for today. Enjoy the moment, teasing of the good old days. Atwezi wacho fall, I fuck no mood, no way. No way, no way, no. I'm so grateful now, life is so amazing. Lately 2 blessings, no nice apple on the daily. I'm floating on a cloud, no complaining and I can't say I'm surprised. I'm having the time of my life, I'm so grateful now, life is so amazing. Lately 2 blessings, no nice apple on the daily. I'm floating on a cloud, no complaining and I can't say I'm surprised. I'm having the time of my life. Lately I've been grinding, I'm doing too much. But imefika, life imejipa, I'm in the air too much. I'm buying freedom from my family, don't see them enough. You know I never fumbled the bag, I've been through too much. Kwacha legacy ya royalty, kujulikana toka mtani hadi overseas. Toe to toe, know I'm the greatest, speaking truthfully. Nani komboka, so you never catch me on my knees. And lately I've been praying, in songs I'm singing. Constellations of the stars say I'm the greatest. Taking it higher through the wire, glad we made it. You could be tired, but you never walk alone. Lately I'm so grateful now, life is so amazing. Lately 2 blessings, don't I sabu on the daily. I'm floating on a cloud, no complaining, and I can't say I'm surprised. I'm having the time of my life. I'm so grateful now. Life is so amazing. Lately 2 blessings, don't I sabu on the daily. I'm floating on a cloud, no complaining, and I can't say I'm surprised. I'm having the time of my life. I'm having the time of my life. I'm having the time of my life. Turning to falling from no way, no way, no way, no. Lately I'm so grateful now, life is so amazing. Lately 2 blessings, don't I sabu on the daily. I'm floating on a cloud, no complaining, and I can't say I'm surprised. I'm having the time of my life. I'm so grateful now, life is so amazing. Lately 2 blessings, don't I sabu on the daily. I'm floating on a cloud, no complaining, and I can't say I'm surprised. I'm having the time of my life.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Our radio.
Wakishanga vile unazitoka walai blanda, mimi nimetekwa napewa mahaba. Ay 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 ay, ulalo I say you do it now jabera yeah. Kama mtoto napewa masiwa. Ay 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 ay, ulalo I say you do it now jabera yeah. Kama mtoto napewa masiwa. Atoti chamuto, atoti ngela ngela, atoti ukizungusha, naishi wana hewa.
Boss Nauru, Kevin Ratego, Daktari, Papa Maneto, Mama Messi Sunbreeze.
Ya wakini pego mera, mawa tenda wili. Pinyo pongi weche yawa. Lakini wa mosu mokuongo, ani longanio nyachi pala. Wodo bongo, woda oko nyakotia. Todo moso costa ojuanganyo. Hey!
Kama mtoto napewa masiwa, walalo asayunuwendo japera ye. Kama mtoto napewa masiwa.
Kama mtoto napewa maziwa. That's Chamthom Atoti by Watendawili. My God, could use some milk right now, you know. And before that was Time of My Life by Nyashinsky and Bien. Now, man, I can't believe we're done with the first hour of the show. So as we get into the second hour of the show, we're now going to be looking at real life cases, including Ruth Kamande. What happened to Ruth Kamande? How is it that such a beautiful young woman full of promise ended up at the Langata Women's Prison? Now, that conversation cannot happen until we discuss the matter of malice aforethought. If you ever hear a lawyer say malice aforethought, unajua lawyers apparently tunapenda kutisha watu na with big words. So I'm also just going to give you some of this vocab so that when you're out there, unasema hizi vitu with your chest completely. Now, when it comes to cases of murder, there is something that you must prove so that the court can then agree with you that a murder has occurred. All right? Now, if you look at section 206 of the Penal Code, it deals with the question of malice aforethought. Now, in legal terms, you will often hear someone talking about mens rea. Mens rea is basically intention, okay? This is a mental element that is required before someone can be convicted of murder. Now, how do you prove mens rea, or what we also call malice aforethought? Number one is that you must show that the person had an intention to cause the death or to cause grievous harm to that person, whether they've died or not, okay? Number two, you must show that this person had knowledge, the accused person had knowledge that the act or whatever they wanted to do, the most likely outcome of their actions was going to be the death of the person, whether that person is killed or not, okay? Number three, you must show that there was an intention to commit a felony. There was actually an intention to commit that crime. And of course, number four is that an intention by the act or omission to facilitate the flight or escape from custody of any person who has committed or attempted to commit a felony. All right? So this means those people who help other people to escape, you know someone has done a murder and then you're helping them to escape. Unaingia hapo ndani kwa malice aforethought. Okay? You are facilitating the flight or escape from custody of a person who has committed or attempted to commit a felony. Malice aforethought is very important. Now, as we get into the second hour of the show, we're going to be getting a song from Mr. Noel Nderitu, my boy out there. Please check out his music as he comes in with everything. And then, who knows, maybe down the road you get something from Vereso. But it's now 2 p.m.
Power Radio. Tune in and power up.
Slowing down, I got a problem. And this one, nobody can solve it. And I've got hit, I can't walk straight. It's not a bruise, it's not a grace. And I need a shoulder, someone to carry me over. He carries me through everything. The pain, the struggle, the highs and lows. He's faithful forever till the end. He carries me through everything. The pain, the struggle, the highs and lows. He's faithful forever till the end. He is. life throws curveballs, and situations got me so lost. Still I know that you are here. It's 'cause of your love I have no fear. And you brought me over, and you on my shoulder. He carries me through everything. The pain, the struggle, the highs and winds. Faithful, faithful forever till the end. You've been nothing short of faithful. Everything. All of my life, Lord, you have carried me. Forever till the end. He is. He carries every little thing, yeah. Every little thing, yes. Faithful forever till the end. You're the wind beneath my wings. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. Oh, you've been so faithful. He is faithful till the end. Faithful till the end. Declare. Everything will work out for good. Everything will work out for good. Everything will work out. Everything will work out. Everything will work out for good. Yes, it will. Everything will work out for good. Everything will work out. Everything will work out. Everything will work out for good. Everything will work out for good. To those who have been called according to His purpose, He's working it out. Everything will work out for good. Everything will work out. Everything will work out. He carries me through everything. The pain, the struggle, the highs and winds. He's faithful forever till the end. He carries me through everything. The pain, the struggle, the highs and winds. He's faithful forever till the end. He is.
Power Radio. Tune in and power up.
A cloud by day to shade me from the scorching sun.
Yes, that's Vereso. And before that was Noel Nderitu. Shout out Noel, shout out Vereso. Now, the second hour, we're dealing with real life cases. The first one I want us to talk about. Are you ever, for those of us who go out to places where people are drinking, do you ever see guys just start getting into arguments? And kidogo kidogo, watu wanakaa ni kama watashikana mashati. Drum rolls. The case, Kevin Aboki versus Republic. This was criminal case number 17 of 2019. This happens in Nyamira, all right? Now, on 17th July, okay, the accused person was together with the deceased person at a place where they were drinking, okay? So these are the brief facts. The accused and the deceased, and remember the accused is the person who has been taken to court, the deceased is the person who has died, okay? Just laying it out there. Now, on the material day, these two guys meet at a changa den belonging to a lady known as Kerubo, okay? The accused person was the first to arrive, and when the deceased got there, he ordered for a glass of changa and then sat a few meters from the accused. Now, soon, the deceased approached the accused person, and the accused, in this case, our accused person is called Kevin, all right? Kevin Aboki demanded to be paid 200 shillings, which he owed him. The deceased then insulted him and called him a fool. So clearly, an altercation then is triggered. The deceased person, the guy who died, he picks up a stool and throws it at the accused person. The stool misses the accused by inches. So the accused leaves the changa den. The deceased follows him, spoiling for a fight. Okay? The accused is still not interested in that story. So as the accused is walking home, the deceased follows him and then starts hitting him with a stick. So the accused, of course, gets angry. He takes hold of the same stick and then he gives the deceased person several blows to the head until he fell to the ground. Then he fled the scene. The deceased was rushed to hospital in critical condition, and on 18th July 2019, he succumbs to his injuries, and when a postmortem is carried out on the 24th of July, the cause of death is held to be severe head injury that led to cardiac arrest. In the opinion of the doctor, the head injury was caused by a blunt object. Okay? Now, Kevin Aboki is then taken to court and is asked, how are you pleading? He says, not guilty. Okay? He says, yes, I inflicted the injuries that led to the death of the deceased person. However, I am pleading self-defense. Now, for him, he says that he demanded for 200 shillings, which the deceased person owed him. When he asked for the money, the deceased person picks a stool and throws it at him, which missed. Okay? He leaves the den. The deceased is still following him, comes to hit him with a stick. Okay? He, according to his evidence, is that he actually took off when the deceased came with a stick. But this guy continued running after him and hitting him. So that's when he took the stick, Njoroge at the guy, and then he left. And in any case, both of them were drunk. Now, if you're listening to this, do you think Kevin Aboki is guilty of murder, or is there a different way to look at his accusation, at these accusations and the charges that have been brought against him? In your mind, he says, this guy is the first person who actually threw the stool at me. I missed it. He didn't hit me. I left. He followed me. He threw things at me. He came with a stick. He started hitting me. So, what do I do in that case? Now, there is a defense in criminal law that is called the defense of provocation. All right? Now, generally, the legal position in Kenya is that every time someone dies, okay, every time there's a homicide, that homicide is presumed to be unlawful, except where circumstances make it excusable or where it has been authorized by the law, okay? Authorized by the law, of course, is like cops. Cops are authorized to actually shoot you and kill you in the in carrying out their duties, right? Of course, killing you should be the last thing, but there are some legal justifications for why someone dies, okay? But for it to be excusable, it means that under the circumstances, it was justifiable. And this is where now questions of self-defense or perhaps being in defense of property comes in. Now, when someone claims that they were provoked or when the defense of provocation is brought, what essentially is being said is that in the heat of passion, while the accused person, okay, was deprived of their self-control, they carried out the crime. They probably hit someone and they died. That should not be looked at as murder, but instead it should be considered as manslaughter because there's a key missing element. Do you remember what it was? We talked about this earlier. It was mens rea, malice aforethought. Okay? Now, the court has to actually look at each of these factors and then decide, do they work and do they apply in the case that is before us? So when the court was looking at this, the first thing, of course, is that the death of the deceased person and the cause of death were not in dispute. The fact is, the deceased person died and the cause of his death was severe head injury leading to cardiac arrest. Okay? It was also a fact that the head injury was inflicted with a blunt object. The accused person already admits that he was the one who inflicted the injury that led to the death of this person. So the only issue here for determination is the act by which he caused the death. Was it lawful or an unlawful act? And did he have malice aforethought? So this is what the court considers. The court first said, in his defense, the accused claimed to have acted in defense of self. He stated that he assaulted the deceased after the deceased followed him and started hitting him with a stick. He, as a matter of fact, stated that he struck the deceased with the same stick the deceased had used to hit him. He stated that the deceased became angry when he demanded that he pay some 200 shillings that he owed him. He stated that the deceased, after insulting him, hurled a stool at him, but it missed the target, and when he walked out, the deceased followed him and started a fight, but people separated them. He alleged that he started walking home, but the deceased followed him and started beating him with a stick. All right? Now, the defense of self-defense is actually provided for under Section 17 of the Penal Code of Kenya. This is what it says. Subject to any express provisions in this code or any other operation in Kenya, criminal responsibility for the use of force in the defense of person or property shall be determined according to the principles of English common law. Okay? Now, under English common law, this is the principle, right? That it is both good law and good sense, that a man who is attacked may defend himself. You have a right to defend yourself. It is both good law and common sense that he may do, but only do what is reasonably necessary. Everything will depend upon the particular facts and circumstances. Some attacks may be serious and dangerous, others may not be. If then the attack is relatively minor, it will not be common sense to permit retaliation which is out of proportion. So what is the court saying here? If you are slapped, honestly, a slap is equal retaliation. But if you are slapped and then you pull out a gun and shoot someone, hapo sasa ujue umeenda beyond, okay? The retaliation is out of proportion. However, if an attack is so serious that it puts someone in immediate danger or in immediate peril, then an immediate defensive action may be necessary. If the moment is out of crisis for someone in immediate danger, he may have to avert the danger by some instant reaction. Okay? But remember, once the attack is over and there is no sort of danger that remains, then the use of force may be by way of revenge or punishment. And the law does not cover you if you revenge. This is important to note because there have been cases in court where someone says, this person came and hit me, and then I went to the house, came out after 1 hour, and then I stabbed them. It was self-defense. No. It has to be a reasonable time, okay? what the law considers is, was there a cooling off period? A cooling off period is basically that the person had an opportunity to leave, akaenda kakamali, akapoa, and then akarudi. If you went and you chilled, and you've come down, and then you come back and you injure someone, that is now revenge. It can be revenge, or it can be that thing we say, an eye for an eye. So circumstances are a key issue, okay? Before the court considers provocation, it has to look at what are the circumstances and are there any other possible issues that need to be looked at, all right? Now, in this case, this is what the court says. Provocation is not an absolute defense, okay? The court agreed that the deceased indeed pushed the accused to the wall. The deceased's conduct of following the accused, even when he had walked away, and striking him with a stick, amounted to a wrongful act which, when done to an ordinary person, could induce him to commit an assault such as was committed by the accused person. What the court is saying here is simply, if you are hit with a stick, it's common sense that you would also hit someone with a stick, because that is what had been done to you. His reaction was not beyond, okay? It was not out of the ordinary. The accused used the same stick the deceased had used to assault him, even as he tried to walk away from him. However, the act was not lawful. It was an unlawful act. And this is where now, it comes in. This is because after striking the deceased, he fell, and this should have given the accused an opportunity to walk away. This is where Kevin gets it wrong, because once his accuser fell, Kevin should have put the stick aside and walked. But no. What did he do? He continued hitting him on the head with the stick, inflicting severe injuries. And the post-mortem was clear. He had sustained a fractured frontal bone. His skull actually fractured, and the injuries were severe. Okay? Now, in this case, the amount or the effort for retaliation is greater than what had originally been done. And so what does the court say? You crossed the line. You went too far. However, in this case, the court found that he had been provoked, so his defense of provocation stood, which meant that the charge for murder could not be sustained against him. They had to substitute with a lesser charge, which is manslaughter. Manslaughter is what we describe death that has been caused and it was not intentional. The person that has caused the death did not do it intentionally. Sinimongia. Now, remember, you can always ask any questions, reach out to us, give us any feedback on at Power Radio on the socials, and we'll be happy to just read some of those comments and some of those questions that you probably have. Do you think in this case the court was actually fair? Did the court do the right thing in its decision? Let us know. But for now, this is a radio station, so you know what you're here to do. Let's get some music.
That's my love language. Love me jeje, love me tender. Put some makeup on my eyes. Show me that your love is more than words. Oh baby, come through for me. Be there when I'm in need. Show me that your love is more than words. So if you tell me that you're all in, I'm all in. You know what to do to make sure that I am falling. I'm falling for your love. So give me money, money. That's my love language. Make time for me, for me. That's my love language. Take care of me, love me. That's my love language. Touch my body, my body. That's my love language.
your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio. Power Radio. Tune in and power up.
ABH sound, baby.
Pretty girl, been watching you around. Do you mind if I wait for you? Kitabasam, unanijaza ham, and now I'm going crazy for you. These days are not easy. Been knocking on your door, siendo katoweka na love. Unafanya na cheesy. Kwa penzi kuna utam-tam, na mina kamkuzi nyam-nyam. Give you sweet banana, napenda vile tunavyofaana. Pendeza unavyoonekana, girl you know you're Rastana. Come straight from the savannah, let's get lost in the vanilla. Give you sweet banana, napenda vile tunavyofaana. Pendeza unavyoonekana, girl you know you're Rastana. Come straight from the savannah, let's get lost in the vanilla.
Give me an Nirvana, sunny days. You know that I wanna give you my penzi. I know you've been longing for this place we're going. When no day is gray, I swear. Yeah, I be hiding the man I think I am. Busy looking for the woman that you think you are. You behind me, make some man, make a bigger plan. Cause I know who you are. Mwenye moyo before picking up a cool. Ndede na sio lazima nivue ndo tambue. Nshachagua before pasia na padre forever. Cry me a river, I will weather the weather. I would never forget.
Napenda vile tunavyofaana, pendezo navyoonekana. Girl, you know you're a stunner. Come straight from the savannah. Let's get lost in the vanilla. Give you sweetie banana. Napenda vile tunavyofaana, pendezo navyoonekana. Girl, you know you're a stunner. Come straight from the savannah. Let's get lost in the vanilla. The vanilla, the vanilla, the vanilla, the vanilla, the vanilla. The vanilla, the vanilla, the vanilla, yeah. Give you sweetie banana, napenda vile tunavyofaana, pendezo navyoonekana. Girl, you know you're a stunner. Come straight from the savannah. Let's get lost in the vanilla. Give you sweetie banana, napenda vile tunavyofaana, pendezo navyoonekana. Girl, you know you're a stunner. Come straight from the savannah. Let's get lost in the vanilla. The vanilla, the vanilla, yeah. The vanilla, the vanilla, the vanilla. The vanilla, the vanilla, the vanilla, the vanilla, the vanilla, yeah.
Nirvana Love, that's by Colossal Music, Duckloads, and Mbithi. Wow. Before that, we had Doja by Nikita Kering. And if you're listening, just you need to tell me who this artist is. It's LMBSKN. I feel like it should be Limskin. Bernard says it's Limskin. So Limskin and Nikita Kering and Doja. And of course, Fancy Fingers and Danny on Love Language before that. Now, this second hour of the show, remember, we are dealing with real life case scenarios. And the next case we are looking at caught the entire nation by a storm. And to date, there are still people who say, hapana bana, msupafai kufungwa. On the 20th day of September 2015, at Buruburu Estate within Nairobi County, Ruth Kamande murdered Farid Mohammed Halim. Now, I hope that in the next few minutes, as we come to the last half hour of the show, we can actually look at Ruth Kamande's case nicely in a way that you can just be able to understand what is it that landed her at Langata Women's Prison. Now, on 9 a.m. on the 20th of September, which was a Sunday, 2015, screams and calls for help were heard in the house where Farid Mohammed Halim lived. Now, that house he had rented from a man and his wife who were the landlord and landlady respectively. Now, the first witness, who was the wife of the landlord, went to the back of the house where to just find out what the matter was. As she walked towards his house, she heard him say, Nisaidie, nisaidie, amenidunga. Help me, she has stabbed me. The landlord's wife knocked on the door and asked loudly what was going on inside the house. Then she heard the deceased person, who was Mohammed, say, "It is this one who has stabbed me," followed immediately by the words, "I have been stabbed again." At that point, her husband arrives at the scene from their house. Now, where the house where the deceased was calling from, right, the house he had rented, was locked. All right? It was locked and they were not able to actually get in. Now, the landlord was then left to try and rescue Mohammed, who was the deceased person. His testimony in court was that he looked inside the house and he saw Mohammed standing facing a woman who had her back on him. So from where the eyewitness was seeing, he could see the woman, her back, and he could see the deceased person, Mohammed, standing on the other side. Now, the landlord came to know the woman as the accused in the case. Mohammed was holding his abdomen and appeared to be in great pain. On the other hand, Ruth Kamande was blocking him from entering the kitchen. The landlord then asked Ruth for his house keys, to which the deceased told him to access the keys near the kitchen window. The landlord decided to break the window panel as the window was closed. Now, at this time, the witness says that the deceased person, Mohammed, was still holding his stomach and lower abdomen by the time he was breaking the kitchen window. Mohammed was standing on the small corridor between the kitchen and the sitting room. And Ruth Kamande was holding a knife in her lifted hand, actively blocking Mohammed from accessing the kitchen. Now, the landlord says that he could not get the keys even after he broke the window pane. In his desperation, he asked the deceased, Mohammed, why he could not punch the accused on her breasts and overpower her like a man. Okay? Mohammed could hardly release his hands from holding his abdomen. The landlord said that he saw a neighbor outside whom he sent to go and call the police at Buruburu police station, which is about 1 kilometer away. Just then, the landlord returns and hears the deceased crying out that he has been stabbed again. He then heard Mohammed screaming from inside his bedroom. He peeped through the bedroom window and saw Ruth Kamande in the bedroom, still holding a knife. Mohammed was kneeling beside the bed with his body leaning on the bed. Another neighbor joins the landlord at that point. Then the police come. By then, Mohammed has gone quiet. They were only to discover that he was, at this point, already dead. The other witness saw Ruth Kamande climb the kitchen sink and reach out for the keys. Now, the court found that there was a bit of inconsistency in the evidence of the prosecution at this point, because according to the other witness, Ruth Kamande handed over the keys to the landlord, right? And the landlord and another witness said it was actually someone else who was a police officer who ordered Ruth Kamande to open the door to the house, which she did. But the court said that that matter was not in dispute, okay? Because Ruth Kamande in her defense stated that she was ordered to open the house by an officer who had a gun, which she did. Mohammed's body was then taken to the city mortuary on the same day, and a postmortem was carried out by the government pathologist, Dr. Odro Johansen. According to him, he formed the opinion that Mohammed had died of multiple injuries and blood loss due to penetrating force trauma. They found a total of 25 stab wounds on the chest, hands, legs, head, abdomen, back, and shoulders of Mohammed, and his intestines were sticking out of his abdomen. His body was pale, proof that there had been excessive loss of blood. Now, the prosecution was also able to produce a P3 form. And in that P3 form, the doctor who had examined stated that she had a cut on the chest wall, several cuts on the abdomen, and on the left hand and right leg. Those injuries were classified as harm. The doctor also found that Ruth Kamande was actually fit to stand trial. She didn't have any mental impediments for her to stand trial. Now, they also claimed that Ruth Kamande did not complain of any sexual assault at that point when she was actually being taken through a test to determine whether she could stand trial. Now, the prosecution called another doctor who was Dr. Muya. Now, Dr. Muya testified that he treated Ruth Kamande at Kenyatta National Hospital. Ruth Kamande had complained of assault with a sharp object and also of sexual assault. He examined her and found multiple soft tissue injuries in her chest and abdomen. When they did a pelvic examination, they found her genitalia were normal. Then they did an abdominal scan to reveal if there were any injuries of the abdomen, and that X-ray revealed no injuries or fractures. Now, the investigation officer, or the officer who had been charged with investigating the case at first, stated that he entered Mohammed's house the same day of the incident. He recovered love cards in his bedroom. He also recovered keys and 2 padlocks. He recovered a blood-stained top and shorts from Ruth Kamande, which were produced as exhibits before the court, and they also took mouth swabs from her. Now, the police also stated that the first officer to arrive at the scene handed over a knife to them. That knife was identified as the one that Ruth Kamande used to stab Mohammed. The witness also stated that when he saw Ruth Kamande the same day of the incident, she was able to walk without aid and appeared composed and calm. This case is a heavy case. So we're going to get some music. And when we come back, we're going to look at what Ruth Kamande said in court as part of her defense when she was accused of the murder of Mohammed. Let's get some music.
Silence in the room. Viens, baby. Let me set you free. I release you, calypso. Come and live with me. See my wildest dream of you. Naked body covered in some chocolate. Girl, you know what's coming. 1990 something type of loving we discovered. I call you Miss Gina. She replies with Martin. Another episode of a late night with my Chiquita. Know you uptight. Losing up for a change to short life. And it's a long night for the sunlight. And what I give you is all my attention. See my heartbeat, it's a drum line. I never mind if you need me to bless you. You might tied up with no entanglements. Tired. Face up. Face darkness. Face up.
No violence in the room. Don't need nobody messing with my mood. Ooh, she's staring at the mirror. I'm Mona Lisa, unanita naitika. Mi amor, feel the rhythm running fire, burning instant oven. Mteja patikani D&D, our phones on silent. And my hands all over you, I swear I do you the way you want me to. I call you Miss Gina, she replies with Martin.
Another episode of a late night with my Chiquita. Know you uptight. Losing up for a change to short life. And it's a long night for the sunlight. And what I give you is all my attention. See my heartbeat, it's a drum line. I never mind if you need me to bless you. You might tied up with no entanglements. Tired. Face up. Face darkness. Face up.
If you're just joining us, we're talking about the case of Republic versus Ruth Wanjiko Kamande, which was criminal case number 93 of 2015. Ruth Kamande was accused of causing the death of one Farid Mohammed Halim. So far, we've covered what the prosecution's case was against her, having found that she stabbed him 25 times. Now, when she was put on her defense, Ruth says that Mohammed attacked her because she saw an HIV/AIDS report on him and he threatened to expose Mohammed to his family. According to her, she saw the report in the bed on that fateful Sunday morning. Now, according to her story, once she confronted him with this, Mohammed then turned violent and threw her on the bed, sat on her and with a knife he was carrying, he stabbed her several times on the chest, hands, thighs, and stomach. Now, according to Ruth, she was able to disarm Mohammed after pressing his eyes, and then he took the knife from him. She said that while lying on the bed and with the deceased seated on her, she stabbed him several times. According to her, she lost count of how many times she had stabbed him. Now, Ruth stated that the day before the incident, the two of them had quarreled over love letters she saw in a drawer in the bedroom. She said that she had wanted to know from Mohammed why he was still keeping the love letters many years later. She said that at the time, Edward, who was the maternal uncle of Mohammed, had visited. She said that they were able to resolve the issue and spent the night peacefully. Now, it was her case that the prosecution had failed to prove malice aforethought. Remember that thing we spoke about, malice aforethought? The guilty mind, okay? They argued that the number of injuries Ruth Kamande inflicted on Mohammed were not sufficient to prove that. They also said that the actual damage caused to the internal organs by the stab wounds could not be ascertained because the deceased was not opened up. Ruth's lawyer argued that the accused also suffered, right? The accused, in this case being Ruth, also suffered multiple injuries on the chest and abdomen, which caused her to be admitted at Kenyatta National Hospital. She asked the court to find that both Ruth and Mohammed suffered severe injuries. Okay? Now, based on the evidence that had been produced, he said that Ruth's lawyer said the evidence was not sufficient because there was no sufficient proof, number one, to show that Kamande hid the keys to the house, as had been argued by the prosecution. According to the lawyer, the hidden keys claim did not support a claim of premeditation. Remember, premeditation is mens rea, okay? Now, in regard to the evidence that Kamande was able to walk on her own after the incident, the lawyer claimed that the witness saw the accused was confused and not calm. Now, further in discounting the evidence of the prosecution, they stated that the cousin and sister of Mohammed were jealous. Okay? Now, okay, let me get this. The cousin and sister of Mohammed stated that Kamande was jealous and possessive of Mohammed. Okay, that had been their evidence. But when they were put on the stand, it was the lawyer stated that the cousin and the sister, they had contradicted each other, that Kamande was actually not a girlfriend of the deceased person. Okay? Now, the prosecution, of course, told the court that they had indeed proved their case beyond any reasonable doubt. There was evidence, there was a scene of murder, the weapon had been received, and the person had been stabbed, and medical reports had actually been provided. In determining this case, the court, number one, begins to deal with the question of malice aforethought. Was there malice aforethought? Remember, we said malice aforethought shows the intent. Someone had the intent to cause harm, to cause injury, to murder, to kill, to harm the person, right? Now, the court began by noting that there were facts that were not in dispute. For instance, it was not in dispute that Mohammed and Kamande were living together for an unknown period of time when the incident occurred, all right? Actually, one witness said that he had seen them live in that house for 2 months before the incident. He claimed that he was a constant visitor to Mohammed, who was his sister's son, because his home was not far from Mohammed's home. It was also not in dispute that 2 days before the incident, the two had a tense relationship. A WhatsApp conversation was produced in which one of the witnesses had a conversation with Mohammed 2 days before the incident happened. The messages indicated that Mohammed was not happy with Kamande. Now, when the court looked at the messages, it held that the messages showed that Mohammed shared an incident the day before, which was the 17th September, where Kamande had blocked his SIM card as she tried to enter a password and PIN in order to read his messages. Mohammed had stated in that WhatsApp message that since Kamande had discovered that he knew that he usually checked his phone, he had just changed his password and PIN. Kamande continued to complain that Mohammed had even beaten him in the night. He also complained that she had locked herself in the bedroom as she tried to access his messages on the phone and did not open the bedroom door for him for half an hour, even though Kamande knew that Mohammed was getting late for work. Now, going by the retrieved messages that were produced in court, Mohammed had told his witness that after the drama where the Kamande was crying over frustration for not accessing Mohammed's messages, and thereafter the drama of following him as he went to work, he had told her that he was calling off their relationship as he did not want such drama in his life. Now, the prosecution witness stated that from all the information she had received from the deceased and from their previous encounter with Kamande, where Kamande scanned her from head to toe and was aggressive to her for finding her having a meal with Mohammed, she had concluded that Kamande was jealous and envious of Mohammed and aggressive and unfriendly to any woman who dared to get close to Mohammed. Now, Mohammed's sister, who was also a witness in the case, testified that Mohammed sounded uneasy and bored the night before he was murdered. According to her, even though it was Mohammed who had called her that evening, he was not responding to her questions. He, however, told her that he was with Biggie, which was a nickname for Kamande. Mohammed's sister stated she realized that there was something wrong and decided to let the matter rest. Now, another witness who had visited Mohammed and found him with Kamande the night before the attack shed some further light. According to him, he asked Mohammed why Kamande had locked herself in the bedroom when he visited and why she was cold towards him. He said that Mohammed told him that Kamande had discovered old love letters written to him and was angry and upset over them and could not understand why he was still keeping them. The witness testified that Mohammed informed him that he was going straight to sleep because he did not want to argue with Kamande. The court held that it was clear that Kamande and Mohammed had tension on the night before the incident and that the tension was over letters that Mohammed was keeping from his past relationships. Now, it was also clear from the evidence that 2 days before the incident, Kamande was upset with Mohammed for changing his phone PIN number and password, making it difficult for her to access his phone messages. She even took his SIM card and tried it on her phone in an attempt to access the Mohammed's phone content. Now, the court also found that there was evidence that Kamande was crying and following Mohammed that morning of 18th, leading Mohammed to warn her that he was going to call off their relationship. In her defense, Kamande had admitted to the issue of the changing of the PIN to the deceased phone. She also admitted to her unusual behavior of locking herself up in the bedroom when the uncle to Mohammed visited. She, however, explained that she had painful periods and that it was the reason she left them in the sitting room. The court found that there was evidence that Mohammed was unhappy and restless, arising from a call he made to his sister the night after his uncle left his house. He was unusually quiet and did not respond to questions. He only indicated to his sister that he was with the accused. So, was there malice aforethought? The court said that in this case, there was no one else in the house when the incident started. The first person to arrive at the scene was the landlord's wife, who found Mohammed and Kamande in the small space outside the kitchen, but before the sitting room of the house. The deceased had been stabbed several times. Mohammed cried out, "Nimedungwa tena," words which meant, "I have been stabbed again." Now, the evidence of the landlord and the landlady clearly established that Mohammed and Kamande were not in the bedroom when the attack started. Kamande's defense that Mohammed was sitting on her in the bedroom when he attacked her and that all the stabs she inflicted on him were from a low-lying position with the deceased on top of her then could not be true. it was clear that Kamande was not in the bedroom. Sorry, it was clear that Mohammed was not in the bedroom when he was first stabbed. Now, the evidence that had been produced in court was clear, showing the areas where Mohammed had been stabbed. He had 9 stab wounds on the chest, several wounds on the abdomen, rib cage, on his backside, on his shoulder, the back of his head, and on the legs on both the front and the back. He was stabbed 25 times in total. The court found it was not logical that at the time Kamande stabbed Mohammed on all those parts of the body, she was in a lying position with Mohammed seated over her or above her. Now, the court also found that the evidence that had been given by all the witnesses was that there was blood on the walls and on the floor of the house and also on the bed. Unfortunately, the police messed up because the photos that were taken of the scene were destroyed. And according to the police, the destruction of the photos was not intentional, it was an accident, but the court found that the evidence that had been given by the witnesses was sufficient to show that indeed there was blood all over the walls of the house. This is a heavy case. Let's get one more song, and then when we come back, we talk about the final verdict.
This is high-grade music. Music on the beat.
Is it? Kiss me, please me, tease me, saki like honestly. Bust it, dada, open, then you put it on the floor. Why your waist, baby? Let me see you work the body like this stallion. Me lucky when you call me Papa, Miss Kitty. Since I was born 1992, I never seen anybody better than me. You know me, how I get down with you. Run it, Zaga, who make you whine it. Like a Mr. DJ, make you spin it. Girl, you know I like the way you walk it. Totally national in a mwagik.
In a mwagika katap. Anytime in a taste dessert. Sijai on a kitu kama hiyo na slap. Kama late nights nikihit from the back. Baby, let me ask you why you feel so rude. Is it not baby cause you're telling the truth? Una attitude na mini na hizo symptoms too. Mim super, so I feel so good. Yeah, I saw that you follow me back. So don't call me acting shy and that. Nikitingisha kidogo na nitingisha back. Nikirudisha mkono unarudisha back. Hey, come on baby, now set the mood. Tuharibu mbaya diko public too. Never been a munch but I like to chew. Naidishi mbaya na nadish na spoon.
Is it? Kiss me, please me, tease me, saki like honestly. Bust it, dada, open, then you put it on the floor. Why your waist, baby? Let me see you work the body like this stallion. Me lucky when you call me Papa, Miss Kitty. Since I was born 1992, I never seen anybody better than me. You know me, how I get down with you. Run it, Zaga, who make you whine it. Like a Mr. DJ, make you spin it. Girl, you know I like the way you walk it. Totally national in a mwagik, in a mwagik.
This is Sheria Dive on Power Radio, and we are talking about the criminal case of Ruth Kamande. Ruth Kamande is currently, I believe, serving a life sentence at Langata Women's Prison for the death of Mohammed. Now, we've spoken about the prosecution's case. We've also looked at Ruth Kamande's defense. Now, the question the court is considering is, was the prosecution able to prove in this case that there was malice, or rather there was a guilty mind? Sawa sawa. Now, this is what the court says. The evidence is clear that Mohammed was on his feet in the kitchen and in the corridor when Kamande attacked him. In addition to the evidence that had been produced, Kamande climbed the sink to reach for the key to the house after Mohammed had already succumbed to the injuries he had died. Now, taken together with evidence of the other witnesses, that Kamande was actively blocking Mohammed from reaching the kitchen to get the keys where he normally kept them in order to escape from her, and the fact that Kamande not only stabbed her 25 times all over the body, and for this the court is very clear, she did it intermittently, all right? Stab after stab after stab after stab. This was not a frenzy. All taken together, it established beyond any doubt that Kamande had formed the intention to cause grievous harm or death to Mohammed. She inflicted each stab, not in a frenzy, as she alleged in her defense, but deliberately and intermittently. Her action was calculated to inflict pain and to cause death slowly but assuredly. The court found that it was clear proof of malice, of spite, callousness, and hatred. This is what the judge says. There is no doubt in my mind that the accused action was caused by malice. Okay. Now, for the court, these events showed that the accused was extremely jealous of the deceased. Kamande was extremely jealous of Mohammed, and she held a grudge against Mohammed for having kept some cards sent to him while in school 6 years earlier. In the eyes of the court, Kamande was manipulative. She cried to get Mohammed's attention, and in the process, according to the witnesses, she tired Mohammed to the point of giving her notice that he was going to call off their relationship. Now, Kamande, of course, puts forward an explanation where she pleads provocation. Basically, she's saying, I was actually provoked. According to her, she had seen a document on AIDS control on the morning of the incident, that Sunday. She claimed that Mohammed tore the document when she threatened to expose him to his family. Now, the police who recovered exhibits at the scene never came across any torn document, but they were able to recover the love cards and were even able to produce them in court as exhibits. Therefore, the court found that the allegation of the existence of an AIDS control document was an afterthought. Nowhere did Kamande raise the issue of such a document with any witness, not even the investigating officers. The court therefore dismissed that allegation as an afterthought, and it was a made-up story to escape the reality of what Kamande had done. Even if such a document existed, the court said, it could not justify the action on the material day. So was it self-defense? The court says no. It is clear that the court has to determine whether the attack on the accused by whether the attack on the attack on the deceased by the accused was serious, okay, so that there was immediate peril. Remember, what Kamande is arguing is that Mohammed attacked me first. He had a knife. He sat on my chest and he was stabbing me with a knife. So the court has to determine, was it serious? Was that attack serious to the extent that she felt her life was in immediate danger and therefore some action had to be taken? For the plea of self-defense to succeed, you must show on a balance of probabilities that you are in immediate danger or you are in peril arising from a sudden and very serious attack. You must also show that reasonable force was used as a defense or as a response to that attack. In this case, what force is reasonable? Reasonable force is accepted as self-defense, right? Now, as to whether Kamande was in danger when she stabbed Mohammed, the evidence of the witnesses was that both of them were on their feet at the time of the attack. The landlord and the landlady testified that Kamande was the one in control. She had the knife in her hand. She used it over a period of time, a stab at a time until Mohammed was no more. That evidence clearly made negative any allegation that she was trying to fight off an attack from Mohammed. The number of times Mohammed was stabbed is also an indication whether the action was in self-defense. In this case, the court found 25 stab wounds is not a sign of self-defense. This is what the court says. One can accept 1 or 2 stabs as inflicted in self-defense, even if the first stab was in self-defense to ward off an imminent attack, which I find it was not. 25 stabs cannot be accepted as an act in self-defense, as it clearly rules out the fact that the various stabs were inflicted with the aim of warding off an attack. Were 25 stabs reasonably necessary to ward off an attack? Was that reasonable force used? I find that the force used by the accused on the deceased was not reasonably necessary. Neither was it reasonable force. Now, Kamande had also claimed that there was a confrontation between her and Mohammed. And one of the things the court had to answer was there a fight between the two of them? Now, the injuries on Kamande were superficial cuts. That's what the doctor said. The admission of Kamande at Kenyatta Hospital was for investigation of her complaint that she had been assaulted and sexually assaulted. Now, Dr. Muya, who was a witness for the state, clearly showed in her report and in her testimony that they carried out X-ray and abdominal scans to find out the level of injuries. She had no fractures. She had no internal injuries. There was no stab injury on Kamande at all. She had no injury that could be comparable to the ones that had been suffered by Mohammed. Therefore, there was no confrontation in the eyes of the court. On the question of her being admitted to Kenyatta Hospital and the examinations carried out, the court said, I have one word for that. This is what the court says. I'm going to read it verbatim, just how the court said. The accused fooled everyone to believe that she was a victim. I could see the embarrassment on the face of Dr. Moya, who was at pains to explain the necessity of admitting the accused in Kenyatta Hospital and the need to carry out X-ray and scan examination. The doctors can be forgiven as they had an obligation to treat the patient taken to them. However, the patient had superficial injuries, was in no danger at all, and definitely apart from ruling out any serious injuries on her, keeping her in hospital was superfluous. The court was like, Kamande, you lied to everyone and you've embarrassed everyone because they've now had to come to court to explain to the court, why were you getting admitted with superficial injuries? You are not even injured, okay? Now, one of the questions that had been posed was, Mohammed being a Muslim, there was no post-mortem that was carried out in the case of opening up a body because under Muslim beliefs, you cannot cut up a body. And so part of the argument was that based on that, then Dr. Johansen Udur could not then come to court and give that evidence. All right? Now, the court was able to look at different decisions that have been shared over time and again. Now, this was what the court says. Any challenge to medical opinion should be based on proof. It is, of course, reasonable to say that in the case where the medical opinion is sought by a party to be challenged, that should be done by equally qualified medical personnel in the field in issue. The court will then have to determine which opinion to believe, weighing the options against the rest of the evidence adduced. Now, in this case, Ruth Kamande and her lawyers never called any medical officer to come and challenge the evidence of the prosecution. And the court says, if you don't do that, then you cannot come and try to challenge that. Professional opinion can only be challenged by another professional opinion. This is what the court says, finally. Having considered the evidence adduced in this case, I am satisfied that the prosecution has proved beyond any reasonable doubt that Ruth Kamande stabbed the deceased, inflicting fatal wounds on his body which resulted in his death. I find that the prosecution has proved that Ruth Kamande had formed the necessary malice to cause the deceased death. In the circumstances, I find that the accused defense of provocation and or self-defense does not apply to this case. Both defenses are not available to the accused. I am satisfied that the charge of murder, contrary to Section 203 of the Penal Code, has been proved against Ruth Kamande beyond any reasonable doubt. I reject her defense and I find her guilty of murder, contrary to Section 203 of the Penal Code, and consequently, I convict her of murder. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're still here and listening, Ruth Kamande was found guilty. And in that case, she did appeal to the Court of Appeal. All right? In her appeal, of course, she laid out a bunch of reasons that the court should have considered, but the Court of Appeal disagreed with her and upheld the sentence of death. She actually received the death penalty. Today, we've been talking about crimes of passion. All these people we've spoken about are normal people like you and I. All it took was one thing. Excess force was used, a knife was used. My appeal to all of you out there is that please walk away. Walk away from confrontations. You do not need to get to those confrontations. And remember, if you ever defend yourself, the self-defense has to be considered. If the court looks at it, they say the force that has been used in response is proportional to what had been done to you. So now, back to the question at the start of the show. In the case of our MCA, yes, it was a crime of passion because he went out of his way to bring his lover and another friend of his. They kidnapped his ex-wife from the house. They raped her. They poured acid on her and they left her for dead. A good Samaritan got her and took her to hospital. And one of the reasons why the three of them were actually found guilty is because while in hospital, Lucy Njambi made what we call a dying declaration. She was able to positively identify who had done this to her. That is the end of our show. It's always love to do this with you. I hope you've learned something. Remember, we always just love getting your feedback and getting your questions for anything you want to ask. And we'll go ahead and do that. And at Free Spirit Soul on Twitter, she says, for me, I want us to get rid of terming such murders as crimes of passion because it kind of gives it an excuse. Let's just call them crimes. I think based on this, we've realized crime of passion simply says that there was deep emotion that was involved in committing the crime. Now, it looks like it's going to rain, but I still see some blue. Wherever you are, take care. Water, you remember that debate? Water is greater than fire. Yeah, maji inaweza kubeba na uende ka umeenda. So have a blessed afternoon and have a lovely weekend. See you right here, back here on Monday as we answer questions on the law. And on Saturday, between 1 to 3 p.m. Thank you for being with me. God bless you. I love you all.
Steady rocking on the midnight train. Oh Lord, steady rocking.